In this week's video, we're going to talk to you about the new Shelly. So we got a bag of crap from Shelly. And no, that's not Shelly down the street with all the bad kids, but that's a whole different Shelly. Too long for this video, even mine. So in the bag of crap that Shelly sent, I do appreciate it. And no funds were exchanged or anything. They just send crap just to show it to you guys and gals out on the internet, right? I don't mind doing that because Shelly has some great products. Except for one thing they're missing the boat on. And I'll get to that because it kind of involves this little thick boy here. And yeah, there is another one that someone designed more for me, but I haven't had time to print that just yet. I just got the email that he had a little prototype to check out. But we'll talk about part of that and all the new Shelly stuff. But this is the Shelly Plus 2 PM. And I know it sounds like a date on going to a wedding, a Shelly Plus 1, but that's not something that you bring to a wedding nowadays. And maybe you can bring a Plus 2. I don't know if that's a thing, but I guess that's one of those weird weddings. I won't get into that. And then we did cover this on the previous live stream, the Shelly i4. And yeah, we will get some closer down views of these things because we're definitely going to take them apart. That's the Shelly Dimmer 2. I think you've probably seen that one before. But the cool thing is they come out with these little switches. And they're momentary switches. And they even have some cool little faceplates. Well, I'm in the North America market. And these are the EU size. Now, I can get this unstuck now. And Shelly, if you're missing the boat on these, because this is one of the reasons why I probably do not use, and many others in the North America market, the Shellys all the time and all of our switches and whatnot, because it's just very difficult in the US to find some halfway decent, affordable momentary switches. Yeah, we can go to the garbage disposal sections of the hardware stores and they have a little single momentary. And yes, you can make your own. I even did a video way back on that one. But to do a 2-button, a 3-button, a 4-button momentary for North America that is mains rated is probably going to run you $30 or $40, if not more, even if you can find them nowadays. So Shelly definitely make a model for the North America market because guess what? You end up selling even these and your modules that go in the wall, and you'll even have more customers. So you're definitely missing the boat. If you don't plan on doing some North America ones, well, I hope you do change your plans and make some about those. Enough about those. Let's dive into the actual Shelly Plus 2 PM and see what it's all about. I've got a special little thing now that someone did ask about. Was it up to the proper temperature? This is going to use mains power for 4 inputs. And they do use an ESP32. They're fairly simple to open, but you don't have to open yours unless you really want to. There's not a whole lot to this board, as you can tell, because there's no relay to it. It's just pretty much a power supply and some inputs for the different switch inputs. Then, yeah, the party's always on the back side, right? Now, this is the ESP32 Solo. Currently, at the time of this recording, you can do an ESPHome now. It does take a little bit to compile because they use that ESPIDF. That's another little geeky term, but it does work. But I kind of prefer to do Tasmota on this Solo here. And just to show a little better picture, there it is in all the glory, the ESP32U4WD. We've seen those in the different Shelly 1 Plus lines or Plus 1 line, whatever they're calling them. And we've seen them in a couple other little different products. So pretty cool to see manufacturers using ESP32 and especially allowing us to flash our own open source firmware. So to the good one, right? This is the one that I was most excited about seeing was the Shelly 2 Plus 2 something PM. What's the name of it again? Yeah, too many twos. Shelly Plus 2 PM. So it is 2 channels up to 10 amp each and a total of 18 amps. I'll see what kind of load we can put on this thing. And it's of course the same size, but check out inside. This is absolutely insane. I have asked Shelly for the technical documents on it because I'd rather not, since I only have one, rather not start desoldering stuff to really start to do the different pinouts for the power monitoring chip. Because maybe I'll post some updates down below, or maybe some little update video of a complete teardown. But check this out. They have packed so much into this thing right here. And no, there's no banana for scale on this, but they have the 2 relays. These are 10 amps a piece. And the only thing I can think of is that the power monitoring chip is laid in this gap below the relays there. So I think if I was just going to do the trace it down with a voltmeter back to the chip like I did on the Shelly 1 PM, as I'd probably have to desolder this board here, and potentially I could tear it up. I mean, I wouldn't get to show you guys and gals the thing in Home Assistant, so we'll probably do that after this one. And unless Shelly comes back to me with the technical documents for the pinout, we won't have to destroy or potentially destroy their cool hardware. Looks like the power supply and stuff is on this board on this side. And then they've got another board here with the riser for doing the relays packed in there. They definitely piled it all into one little device. So kudos to the engineers playing Tetris on this one. And I have backed up the firmware for this, so it's not locked or anything like that. I know some people may have asked about that, and we will be putting Tasmota and or ESPHome on this at a later time. This was a pretty cool design that they did for these little EU style switches. And yeah, I probably ranted enough. They should make the North America one. If you didn't miss that part, go back and watch the beginning. But they just have these little brackets that do snap on, and they do have for the different size Shellys on. If you do put the wrong one on there, trust me, it won't fit. I laughed at myself in the live stream about that. But you basically just take the Shelly and just pop it in, and it fits in this little bracket here. And then these wires, based on which number of buttons you get, pass into there, and they just pop straight into the little wire terminals. I guess the only thing I could really be picky about saying is they should have put the little crimp-on ferrules on here so you wouldn't have stranded wires. But I guess you could throw those on afterwards and you could put them in the different screw terminals. And this just pops on, really simple, like so, if you have the right size. And it even says for Shelly DIM 21L, but I guess it's the same case, so it does fit. Holds it in, definitely keeps it locked into your box and makes it nice and tidy, which is one of the issues I've had with Shelly in the past, but this fixes that issue. Now, for the North America market, I did print this thick boy out. And this was meant for, I think, the Sonoff TX that someone didn't even want us put in the box. But this should fit, in essence. I haven't printed out the one that was just designed by one of the viewers. But this should fit on there if I really wanted to do this. And it should fit in a old work or new work box or whatever. And of course it would only be for one gang wide on Decora, but hey, it can fit it in a couple places. And they do have a 2-button, they have a 4-button, and then they also have the single button, I believe. I'm not sure, don't think they have a 3. I wouldn't make sense. So definitely fit all their different products, and these are momentary. There's no LEDs on them, so some people may not like that. There's no feedback about a switch or light being on, but I guess you really wouldn't if you're using the Shelly to begin with. So I did cover this little guy, the i4. I did flash this with Tasmota, and I went through on the live stream and figured out the 4 switch inputs, and we actually ran that Blary software on it, and that allows us to pick up all the cool little different Bluetooth sensors and feeds them straight into Home Assistant. I know a guy that did a pretty cool video on it that needed to be redone with the new Blary. Now, how do you flash this thing? Because really, Shelly has, on all their new models and their previous ones, they pretty much have the pin headers that they're straight on the back. But if you recall my previous video, I talked about that these pin headers were really, really small and they kind of sucked. Well, there's actually, Tony Lamont sent me a flasher, pops straight into these little headers. And it's really as simple as taking and pushing it in, and boom, you hook this to your micro USB, pull up the web page for ESPHome or Tasmota, and you can send your own firmware over to it and do your own thing and enable all the stupid features you want because it's open source firmware. But if you're not doing that, you don't have to do that. You can do straight into Home Assistant. They do have the integration. They got MQTT built into these guys. There's APIs. There's all kinds of applications that they do support straight out of the box without having to do the somewhat geeky method. There was another flasher that I would definitely check out his channel. I'll leave a graphic on here. He talks about another flasher that he designed. It's not Tony's, it's another little YouTube channel that for flashing, and he has a little cable that pushes in here, and I'll leave the link to it along with a little clip if I can of his flasher. I have not received that yet, and I'm looking forward to actually playing around with that flasher. So really at this point, when you're ready to integrate the Shelly into your system, really you can pair it with the app. I don't like the Shelly app too much, so what I do prefer, I just power it up, look for an access point on my phone, join into it, and it pulls up the web page of that device. Then I go pick on Wi-Fi and put in my Wi-Fi ID and password and join it up, and that's it. But you can do whatever way you want with it. Of course, this is the stock Shelly firmware. So once you're in the little web page that is served from the device itself, it has pretty much everything you know and love about the Shelly, with changing device names, upgrading firmwares, locations, authentication, do all the things. They even have this new echo mode. I'm about to try that one out, see how it works. Device profile, I guess, for cover or switches. And I'm looking for, here it is. This is what I was looking for, is the channel settings. I was looking for the Momentary because when you just push it down, then you let go, it turned it right back off. And that's what I need to see here. Set Shelly device to moment, push for on or off. Change the button. Interesting, it kind of makes sense. So change the button, there's the Momentary, and then you can set the relay power on default, and then of course you can invert it. Max power. Okay, so it's going to make sure that I don't overload it here in a little bit. Max voltage, max current, channel name, consumption type. So they would do as a light. Yep, 59 watts. This is an old school just filament bulb. That's a 60 watt bulb and showing 59 watts. And then I think I have just a little LED bulb on channel 2, and yeah, it's only 4 watts, which is probably typical for that little bulb type there. It just definitely shows you how much power we were wasting, because to the eye, both those bulbs are pretty close in brightness. So in Home Assistant, I just added it straight using the Shelly integration, put in the IP address of it, and it popped right in, had all the switches. I can see it's even following that I have it set as a light instead of actual just a switch. It does work. You can see it is fairly quick. Not having that issue of it dropping off like I had previously. Maybe things got kind of worked out. You do have all the other different buttons and the different diagnostic stuff here. And I think we did have the power, the wattage. Yes. And we do have the voltage this time as well. Nice to see that they did include that in exposing that data. And it is showing the voltage there now. Did want to see how it reacts the time when if I push the buttons on the Shelly itself. Cool deal there, and you can definitely see the local control pretty quick on toggling with the Shelly device. So no frills there. Stupid simple to add with the stock firmware straight into Home Assistant, and you can do all the power monitoring things right there without having to do any flashing stuff. If you want to see some more of that flashing stuff that I've done with that the little i4, I did flash that on that live stream. I'll leave the link down below, and you can kind of scoot through that and see some of the stuff we did. I even showed how to back it up and find the switches. It's probably pretty informative if you haven't really done anything like that with doing the open source, and definitely some cool stuff. So what one test I'm going to do, I'll hook up a little heat gun here and let it run for a little bit, and then let's check out some temps on this thing. So we're hitting this with the little FLIR camera to see the hot spots. And yeah, you can see the CPU is going to be the hot spot on the back. Currently don't have any load on this. Now when we put the heat gun, you can see that the hot spots definitely move to the relays themselves. Now with the heat gun on 1000 watts, which is below the amperage of the relay, so we're not overpowering anything, you can definitely see the relays do heat up a decent amount. That about wraps up this one, and that leads us to the question of should you buy the thing? Well, yeah, I'm going to have to say if you've got a usage for that 4-button input, the 2-channel with the power monitoring, and you want those ESP32 and those different Bluetooth features and everything, or whatever you may do with it, that's definitely a cool line, because with pretty much any of these Shelly products, I would say all of them, but most of them, you can pretty much take them out the box. And if you don't want to touch them at all and just install them, you can do the 100% local control thing with them and integrate straight into Home Assistant, MQTT, whatever system you probably can do it with. And then they had the flashing header on the back that fits that crowd. And then the ones that want to do the cloud thing, they've got their app. You can pair it with the cloud. You can do the whole thing there. It's pretty freaking genius that they cover the 3 different crowds and make everybody happy, which is more sales, buy more modules, and that's more word of mouth advertising for their great products. So pretty cool stuff there. So I definitely will get behind that and support Shelly in their thing of trying to take over the world of IoT. So I do appreciate everyone watching and all the Patreon subscribers, YouTube members, and I definitely couldn't do things without you guys and gals out there, and I do appreciate it. And y'all know the drill. Press them buttons, and y'all take care. Get a decent gear, dude.
This is just like the skate park. Wait.
Get it, bud.
I'm going
Take
up.
to the left. Oh, don't go that hill. Take to the left. How you gonna get down now? You gonna go down?
Yes.
Go down it, dude. You wanna do it? Hit it. There you go.
Oh no. I have to get. I did it! Are you okay?
Yep. Should have done it. Oh. Yep. I should have done it. I didn't have the speed. It was?
Whoa! 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 Wait! That was fun! That was fun!
It was?
That was fun!
That's cool, huh?
Yeah. Yay! Yay! Whoa! We're gonna have to get up that way.
Yep. It's a big hill. Speed, 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 speed.
Ooh. Are you okay? Are you okay? Which way?
Speed, 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 speed. Oh. You stopped me. I got it.